Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Undercooled, a materials education podcast. Today, we are in the far, far away land of Canada. And in Montreal, I have the pleasure of meeting and occasionally even discussing matters of material science with the one and only Kaitlin Tyler. So Kaitlin, welcome to the show. We're very happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
All right, let's get right to it. We always want to start with introductions, so just tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Kaitlin Tyler?
So, hi everyone, my name's Kaitlin. I am a senior academic program engineer at Ansys, which is an engineering simulation software company. My background is in materials science. I got my bachelor's in materials from Michigan State University and my PhD from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I'm originally from Minnesota, but I currently reside in Georgia.
So it's probably not as hot here as what you're used to at home then.
No, yes, for those watching, it is unseasonably warm in Montreal. I will
35 degrees, I think, today.
Something like that.
It's warm.
It's very warm. And frankly, I could have stayed in Georgia if I wanted this type of weather. But it is very nice to be here in Montreal with Tim and
of course,
at the American Society for Engineering Education meeting.
Yes, and that is our context today. We are at the ASEE annual meeting discussing matters of engineering education, which of course is a great overlap with the theme of the podcast. So as members of the materials division, we talk about materials a little bit, but how did you get into it? Why did you become a materials person?
So the way that my path to becoming a materials engineer is definitely a bit varied. My father's a materials engineer. And so of course I grew up with stories about materials at the dinner table, and the field that he was in, I wasn't very interested in. So I said, okay, that's clearly not the engineering discipline for me. I had a few family members that had some health things happen during my childhood where they required different devices or implants. And I thought, wow, that's so cool. So when I went to Michigan State, I started investigating, okay, how can I be involved in maybe prosthetics or something like that? And the irony is that the part of that I found the coolest was the materials.
What they're made out of.
What they're made out of,
course.
and how you can, especially if you're dealing with something that goes inside the body, that's such a level of complexity for the materials so that they're compatible, they're not toxic. And so I begrudgingly, slightly, realized that material science was where I wanted to be. So that's what I chose for my major in undergrad. I started working in biomaterials, but very quickly actually got interested in batteries. So I did an internship at 3M about lithium-ion batteries. And while I was at 3M, I noticed that everyone who wasn't a people manager, which at that time sounded like the worst task in the world, again, ironic because I currently am a people manager, that they all had advanced degrees. So I said, okay, I guess I'm going to graduate school. And so that's how I ended up at Illinois.
So you actually had a career motivation for, I want to be like these people, I guess I need to figure out how to follow that path.
Exactly. I said, okay, this was a requirement. All of them minimum had a master's, but the majority actually had PhDs. And so I went, okay, I guess, that's how my 21-year-old brain interpreted that piece of information, is that clearly to get this type of job, you needed the PhD. So thankfully had good grades, had the qualifications, so I was able to apply to graduate school, and I was able to get into a really good program at Illinois.
And did you keep working on batteries? Did you go back to biomaterials? Where did that lead?
No to both.
Okay.
So I joined a group that did a lot of battery research, but there was not a spot open on a battery project with funding at the time. And so I ended up going on a very different project, which was looking at basically controlling the microstructure of materials with the hopes of getting basically non-natural properties, so metamaterials, for those who are listening or watching are familiar with the term. So I was working with eutectic systems, and I ended up almost doing a metal solidification PhD, which again, if you had told 18-year-old Kaitlin that this is where we would have ended up, no shot, no chance would I have believed you. But yeah, so that was my main project during graduate school.
And as graduate students do, you graduated.
I did graduate. And actually, I had another thing happen during graduate school that once again was sort of a defining moment of realizing, oh, if I want to do X, I need to do Y.
Yes.
So I agreed to help with a summer camp to get high school girls interested in material science. I, full disclosure, agreed to do it because I needed rent money.
Okay.
As a grad student, you
Sure.
don't get paid a ton. And I loved that week of camp. Being able to engage with the students, have them, that spark that came into their eyes when they realized that they were the ones who were able to create this, or that they understood, you know, because they processed the material in some way, they got this to happen. I went, oh, I like this. I like this a lot.
How do I get more of it?
How do I get more of this in my life? I had also started realizing that research was not as, the glitter had worn off, the rose-colored glasses were no longer on, and I wasn't really enjoying my PhD research as much as I expected. But when I saw how much I enjoyed teaching, and also realizing that material science really isn't a topic that is taught at the pre-university level, so I went, okay, I still really love materials. I love just thinking about them conceptually and understanding the nuances of them. So I went, okay, if I want to teach material science, I still need that PhD because I will become faculty.
Right.
And I went, okay. So that was the extra bit of motivation that I needed to keep going in the PhD and kind of deal with the very arduous task.
I had a very similar experience of do some research. This is fine, I guess. Oh, I get to teach. Oh, okay, this can be a career. Wait, I think that means I'm supposed to finish school. I should probably do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do actually need to finish this degree. And I was fortunate with my advisor and just honestly the department and program in general, I was encouraged to explore, right? I was given additional TA responsibilities if I chose to have them. I worked first as sort of a grad student helper, and then actually as a co-coordinator for that camp for almost the entirety of my PhD. And we actually ended up doing some sort of low-level engineering education research on it, and that's a chapter of my dissertation. So yes, the majority was that metal solidification work, but I was lucky that I was able to build my degree to be what I needed it to be in order to be best suited when I graduated to do what I wanted.
Yeah. So from that experience, before we move to the next chapter, there are certainly students in the audience, graduate students, even some undergraduate students. So any words of wisdom, any advice where you got through grad school in order to meet a certain objective that you were trying to get to? What ideas do you have to share?
Yeah, so I will definitely say, I feel like what I learned from the camp, right, sort of, I think they even had to send me the email twice. Like I didn't accept on the first pass round. Take those, right? And that one in particular was ended up being sort of a low risk, high reward, right? It was a week of my time during the summer. If it sounds interesting, and especially if, depending on how risk averse you are, which I am fairly risk averse, take that shot. Take that opportunity. If you don't like it, okay, cool. You learned something you don't like, which is almost as important, if not more important, than finding out what you do like.
Sometimes you like the idea of a thing, which is different from liking doing the thing.
Exactly, which I think, for me was the technical materials research. I liked the idea, the actual implementation of it ended up not being my favorite thing. So yeah, I say take those chances and don't, you've seen the different topics that I've mentioned. Oh, I was going to go into prosthetics. Oh, I was going to make the next generation of batteries. Oh, now I'm talking about faculty. And at the beginning of this podcast, I mentioned that I work at a company. So.
Oh, so you have a real job.
I argue.
Unlike the guy behind the camera.
They are both valid jobs and very difficult in completely different ways.
Sure.
I think is that. Though I will say I enjoy not grading in the evening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It is the price we must pay.
I do enjoy that part.
Sure. So you graduated.
I did graduate, yes.
And you went out into the world,
yes.
as we tell our students,
the
is
world.
This place that exists.
Yeah, so I got to the point, I mean, I think undergrad and grad students go through this where you go, oh, the end is coming near. Oh, I should really have a job or something that I'm doing next. I did not want to do a postdoc. I really wanted to go into a more teaching-focused faculty position. And so for me, postdoc didn't seem as necessary because that would be getting more independent research skills, which I didn't necessarily need. And just with the timing of it, my life situation at the time, there weren't any faculty positions that were really going to work for me. Right, with faculty positions, it does tend to be a lot of times the luck of the draw, what departments are looking at the time that you're trying. And based on some connections I had from attending a symposium as a graduate student, there was actually an opening at a small company based out of Cambridge in the UK called Granted Design. And so I was like, great, I'll work at this company for a few years, treat it as a postdoc.
Sure.
And then I was going to
get
still
back
follow
on
my
the market.
dream. I was going to get back on the market and find that faculty position, but have the stability of having a job while I'm looking for that faculty position. So yeah, I secured that job, was able to graduate. I think I submitted my dissertation 2 days before the deadline for December graduation. So right under the deadline there. And yeah, then entered the real wide, the big wide world.
So what kind of work are you doing now?
Yeah, so I got hired by a company called Granted Design, and 3 weeks later, we were acquired by a company called Ansys, which I've worked for ever since. And as I said, I'm a senior academic program engineer. So our academic program is focused on helping educators use our engineering simulation software. So think finite element analysis, computational fluid dynamics. We have a tool that helps with material selection and incorporate them into your curriculum in some way. And the main portion of my job is actually focused on creating educational content. Think lectures, case studies, tutorials that help faculty incorporate the software into their curriculum. Because, I mean, as someone who thought they were going to become faculty, I feel like I have a decent perspective of the fact that being asked to add software to your class and change your curriculum, especially in what ends up being such a large way, is a huge ask. And we know it is. And so I just hope that the piece I'm doing at least helps alleviate that burden in some way.
Yeah. As a full disclosure, adopter of maybe one or two of said products, but I do use the material selection software in particular a lot in several of my courses. Well, there are reasons, and we can get into that maybe, but it does really well for what I need. But knowing that I have support on the company side, where when issues come up, there's someone I can call. When there's have you tried doing X with anyone before? I have this harebrained scheme. It's so helpful to have people to talk to who can shed some light on what those experiences are like before just jumping into the deep end and hoping for the best.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you for saying that. That's what we want to provide. We want to provide that support. So yeah, you're not just submitting an anonymous ticket and hoping that it gets answered, right? We are a fairly small team dealing with universities all around the world, so sometimes it takes us a little bit to get back to your email. But yeah, I mean, that's what we want to do, is support the usage of it, because we believe that incorporating these tools and giving students the skills to think about problems using these types of software is really beneficial for them when they get into the working world. And so we want to help.
Yep. Before we go back to a point you sneakily mentioned a couple minutes ago, it's been a long and winding road, as the song goes.
Yes.
And so here you are, successful mid-career professional. You started out not wanting to be a materialser, and here we are after all. I know I already asked about advice for the student perspective of how do you pursue that career, but also now thinking about it from the, let's say you're at that point of actually finishing school, you've done your prep, you've done your homework, you're graduating. How do you get a job?
Yes. So this was something absolutely as an undergraduate I really struggled with. I was not good at career fairs. I did not know how to network. I did not know how to schmooze. I argue my resume was fairly well formatted, but that's about all I had going for me. So I managed to bypass that by going to graduate school. And so it was a bit of a shock when I got to the end of grad school, which for me took about 6.5 years. I was like, oh, that thing I've been avoiding for so long.
It was inevitable.
It was inevitable. I have to do it now. I know it's so hard, but it really is. It is networking, even if it's making sure you have another faculty member who isn't your primary advisor to talk to about career paths.
That was exactly how I got my postdoc, actually.
Yeah.
It was someone on my dissertation committee who was not my person in my home department, was just someone that helped me a lot through the process. And when I was graduating, he said, hey, by the way, I know someone who needs someone. And sometimes that's how it happens.
Yeah. So this actually will circle back to the sneaky item.
Yeah, okay, sure.
But so I had another faculty member in the department, materials department at Illinois, who, you know, through just various reasons, I ended up getting connected with Professor Abelson, who, when I was saying, oh, I really think that I want to actually go into materials teaching rather than research as faculty, he said, there's an event you need to go to. I'm like, okay. And it's the North American Materials Education Symposium.
Hey,
names.
Yes.
And he really encouraged me to go. Again, I was really lucky. My advisor, Paul Braun, was able to fund me as a grad student to go. And this was where I met like-minded people. And as a grad student, I'm sure I said like 4 words the first year that I went, right? I didn't say too much. There weren't a lot of grad students that year. But I realized that I had found a community of people who had the same concerns, had similar ideas to what I had. And I went, oh, okay. And so I actually made a point of, I think I had a poster the next year, I had a talk the year after, trying to be involved in this community of people that I had found who had similar interests to me. And so that's kind of my other piece of advice is if you are able to, and I feel like I luckily stumbled upon it. I will forever be grateful for that because it was a pretty strong turning point in my, career, the winding road.
Right.
Finding that network, because you'll also find that, talking to those people because you have that common interest is so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Than trying to force yourself to talk to someone who you feel obligated to speak to, and you will always have to do that. That's just part of life. But
when you don't have to.
When you don't have to.
And you can just jump straight into the thing that you both love.
Exactly.
It's so easy to get started.
It was so easy to get started. That's actually how I met both Tim and Steve. It was actually through the names conferences.
When you said the poster thing, I think that's the nugget I was trying to dig for in my memories. I'm pretty sure I met you at your poster that year at NAMS, which was also my first NAMS. Yeah. And I said, oh, wow, a like-minded human.
Yes.
How crazy. There's someone else out there.
Yes. It was so comforting, wasn't it?
Right.
To realize that this community of people existed.
Yeah.
And that's actually, Granted Design, the company I was originally hired by, was a key sponsor and organizer of the North American Materials Education Symposium, which now Ansys has taken up that mantle since the acquisition. But so that's also then how I ended up getting a job, is because they had seen me come year after year as a student, which was rare.
Right.
We maybe get some postdocs, but definitely it was geared more towards lecturers, teaching faculty, or even research faculty, right? Just anyone who was interested in teaching materials. But that helped, right? It helped make me sort of stand out in that way. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I heard there's going to be a names in a couple months.
There is.
I heard it might even be sponsored by Ansys again.
It is sponsored by Ansys again. So we're having the 2025 North American Materials Education Symposium will be at Georgia Tech this year.
Okay.
It's August 4th through 6th. And yes, Ansys is a key sponsor for this event. We'll actually be running a workshop. So on August 4th, with a couple of our tools, again, showcasing how they can be used in education, in this case, for sustainable product design. And then it's a 2-day symposium with, I always joke, but not really, that the coffee breaks and the dinners are the most important part because it's the conversations or
Right.
the pieces that you take away. It's and it's the type of event where you can share the good, the bad, and the ugly about what you've tried for your curriculum, which I also think makes it really unique. Compared to the research conferences that I went to as a grad student where you didn't show the bad data.
No,
right?
you see the polished finished product
Exactly.
that is ready for consumption.
Yeah, whereas
And
this,
at names, people will go in and say, I had this harebrained idea that I want to try next year. Does anyone have any advice on? And we just workshop together.
we just have discussions. We'll say, and again, like you said, it's that finding the community of, I'm really struggling, and our department is struggling with this problem. And you can see the relief on people's faces when 7 other hands shoot up in the audience and say, oh yeah, we're also dealing with that problem. And I mean, then all of you kind of look at each other and go, we're all having the same problem, but you aren't alone. So you can now work as a group to try to come up with a solution for that
Right.
problem.
And share the ideas that we're coming up with about how to make all of our lives better.
Yes, because everyone who attends names is so passionate about teaching about material science. They care so much about the students' well-being, their success post-graduation, their success while they're your student. No one is saying, how do you do the hardest exams, or how do you, all these types of things. It's how do we get the information across in a way that is accessible to our students wherever they are, and prepare them for when they get out into the world. And so it's honestly one of my favorite events every year. So I've been going, apart from the couple of COVID years where we didn't have an in-person, I've been going for over a decade at this point. I think this will be my 11th, something like that. So I am a diehard names attendee.
And it's not too late to sign up.
No, it isn't. We're actually still accepting abstracts for talks, as well as the early bird registration will be open until, I believe it's July 11th.
And that's $250?
It is $250 for early bird registration. And based on where it is, Georgia Tech is very easy to get to from the Atlanta airport.
Easy. Yeah.
Yes. So in terms of travel, it is not too winding. You don't have to rent a car. I would recommend not renting a car. Driving in Atlanta is not nice.
Sure. But it is by far the least expensive conference that I go to. And so I really want to say this to students in the audience. It's such a good opportunity for a student to go to. It's a low stakes, low pressure conference where you can meet cool people, make connections, possibly meet your future employer, whether that's in academia or at a company that's attending. And you owe it to yourself, basically, to go there and make it happen.
You do. You really do. And echoing what you said about being low stakes, I think that was compared to some of the other conferences I went to present my technical work in grad school, I knew I'd get people coming up to my poster regardless of the fact I was, a grad student versus faculty or anything. That didn't matter at all. And I knew people were going to genuinely be interested in what I was sharing and not, just showing up and be like, oh yes, I'll, give the grad students some attention or something like that. Same with my talk. I knew I was going to get useful, thought-provoking questions and that people were going to listen. Even though I was in a room full of, many of whom are fully tenured faculty presenting what they're doing. And I was, I think I was a 4th year grad student, something like that. I knew people were going to listen because that's the environment, that's the culture that
Right.
NAMES has built.
I know you said that the coffee talks and the dinners are the most important part, but what you're saying about the talks is so true as well, that almost inevitably the moderators have to shut down the discussion after talking, be like, guys, we got to move on here. But everyone wants to engage.
Yeah.
It's not a dead room where you're just looking at your watch saying, when is the coffee break?
Yeah, when is lunch? When can I get out of here? Yeah, as someone who's now actually been on the organizing side a couple of times, we have to build extra time into the schedule because we know we're going to run over.
Yep.
Because there's going to be just that perfect conversation where everyone is so engaged, and as the moderator, you sit there going, like, what do I do? They're so excited. They're talking about so many things, but we've run out of time. And, so it's
Yep.
it's a
It's
delicate.
the best problem to have.
It is the best problem to have at a conference versus, I went to one as a grad student where two clearly like competing tenured faculty who had like disparate beliefs about a specific topic got into a spat during the Q&A part.
Were there fisticuffs? Was it legendary?
I don't believe there were fisticuffs. There was
okay.
shouting.
Ooh.
They also made us 45 minutes late for lunch.
I bet they were not everyone's favorite person that day.
They were certainly not my favorite person. Yeah. So, and don't worry, we won't let you be 45 minutes late for lunch.
Okay.
While we might fudge a little on the coffee break times, I feel like lunchtime is sacred, and we do pull people for lunch.
Good. Well, I think we've strong-armed the recruitment pretty hard for NAMES, but in all sincerity, it's a wonderful event. It's one of my favorite parts of the year, and it's not too late to sign up. So in the show notes, we'll put a link for registration so that anyone listening to this can easily just hop on, click a link, and get right to it.
Yeah.
And if you do have something that you want to share with the community, whether it's something you're already doing in teaching, something that you want to try and you want to present it as a early work in progress, I think the floor is pretty much open to anything that's central to materials education.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
So before we wrap it up, I'm looking at my little clock timer, of course. Always just like to have that last moment of anything else you'd like to share with the audience, whether it's unsolicited advice, something cool that's about to happen that you just want to brag about, or whatever it is, the floor is yours.
Oh, goodness. For some reason, I should have expected this.
There's always the any questions question.
Yeah, I should have expected it, and I didn't. I mean, I guess I want to say to any students who are listening, one, congrats, you are doing an excellent job wherever you are in your schooling. Material science is awesome. To anyone who's thinking about coming to NAMES, we would sincerely love to have you join us. And also, echoing just don't be afraid if your career path takes an unexpected turn. Some of those unexpected turns have been some of the ended up leading to some of my favorite parts of my career. If yours has been the straight and narrow this whole time, that's also awesome. But don't be afraid of the unexpected bends.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
With that, I think it's time to wrap it up. Great to have you on the show. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. I think it's been a year that I've been saying, when are we going to do your episode? Finally, just had to chase you to a different country to make it happen.
Oh my God. Yes, I am glad that we were finally able to make it happen as well. The part about the different country is extra hilarious.
Yes. And I'll see you in a few short weeks at NAMES 2025 at Georgia Tech. To those out in the audience, hopefully I'll see you there as well.
Yes.
And with that, we'll wrap it up. See you all on the next episode of Undercooled.
Bye, y'all.